Check 1 2, test 1 2. Check 1 2, test 1 2.
We had a rabbi one time, he was mic'd up and he stepped off to the side, he starts talking, he's calling his accountant, he's like, I need this money transferred out of this account, and they were like, I'm like, Rabbi, you're zooming your whole portfolio. Just add the password. Which, by the way, is horrible.
Check 1 2, test 1 2, mic check 1 2.
We got people calling up saying, tell them to sell. I'll be here in the shade. Yep. Yep. And then I have water, we need water, so. I'm hoping the sun will be a little more as we started. You know what, I lived in Haiti for 2 years. So okay. This is like a cool day. This should be okay. And then for the most part, the chairs are at this spot. So. And it's not that. And then yeah. That's what I did last time. Just do everything here. One place. That's what I did the first time. I want to see chairs. The kids, they talk to you about, like, there's one grade left. I believe you have to talk to the cemetery. You have to send a belligerent about that. Because his wife's not being buried yet, right? Yeah. Can you be cremated and buried there? You have to go through the rabbi. They have allowed it. And it's not the problem with cremation. It's the problem with the cemetery laws. They may require that you do a full burial, you know. Well, I don't mind being buried if the ashes. Yeah. The ashes have to go in their separate graves, and it would take up one grave. You know what I'm saying? You can't put two people in one grave. No, I understand. But that's only because of cemetery laws. But you just go through the rabbi on that. Yeah, but, yep. I probably said to my brothers, they're both married, and I'd talk to them. It should be, according to them, there's 4 graves here. So, you know, they were just asking, originally, because that went through Mark, is his wife Jewish? Because they were going to say, hey, you know what, you might want to look, you know, because it could be an issue. Well, they've run into that issue before where one of the spouse is not Jewish, and then come to find out you can't be buried there. I mean, the more, it's like, you know, they're like, I would have never buried, I would have never, I mean, but most of the time, we know they're not, like, we know, like, for instance, on that case, we thought he was Jewish, as far as he always attended all services. He's more religious than he's more Jewish than half the people at the shul. I was like, oh my God. Well, how is he not Jewish? And how long have you been with him? I've been with Mark going on I'm in my 5th year. So. And have you done this work before? Yeah, I've been licensed 17 years. Almost 18 years licensed. I used to work for Cabot Funeral Home and a couple other, worked for a small Italian place over on Northern Boulevard. Yeah. Yeah, different, but all in the same idea, you know. Yeah, the customs are different. The structure. This isn't a celebration, as far as as far as say the difference in is, Christians, they view it as a big celebration.
We'll probably have like a celebration of life. Like I had a lot of things like chicken wings and meat and take out, a couple of them lines, but
Oh no, yeah, don't let that sway you. I mean, like I said, that's just the overall view.
just is eating there were stories about it.
Yeah.
But I think talking about unkosher food and the cemetery and some of the rabbis and
Well,
I'll do it some other time.
he's very relaxed. So, I'm glad you got time. I'm glad you guys had time to spend with your brother.
You're very lucky.
Yeah, that's the word.
Lucky is the word.
Especially,
you never know.
and it's not so much never know. It's these times where we're not traveling as much, and I'm well aware of it. I want to get down and see my mother who's in Florida. I keep telling my wife, she's like, "Oh, I want to go away this weekend." I said, "I want to go down to Florida." She lives in Orlando. My brother's down there with her, but I want to get down and see her as much as possible. My wife understands stories. She's like, "Yeah. Go." I go, "Come with me." And she's like, "Ah, no, there, but COVID and stuff. And I don't want to.
Florida's the place that's really worse.
Yeah, they're a little cavalier down there, if you will. But I don't want to get my mother sick. I don't want to be the one that gets her sick. I'm not worried about me.
I think they want to see that. Because, the kids have been away for a lot of years. So all these wonderful professional contacted girls, they don't know all those people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, they'll all be on here if they know it. Like I said, I was telling with this, we've had some big funerals that had to be private during COVID, where it was just family. You could only have 20 people. But all of a sudden, there's 400 people on the Zoom. They could see how many people logged in for the service. And the family said, you know what? If we had this publicly, there wouldn't have been 100 people here. But by using that camera and the technology, people are checking in from Israel, from all around the place that would never, they wouldn't even have come,
And I think more of them check in if they know it's
Yeah.
a half hour,
Yeah.
45 minutes. It's
We have a lot of families like this doing this now, even though they're public services, because there's people that just can't make it.
when you least expect it.
Yeah.
And how long has the Levine family been doing this?
Oh, since Mark's father, since Mark was born, 70 years? More maybe? More than that, since before Mark was born. So, I'm not 100% sure. They weren't the only Jewish funeral home at one time. We had Schwartz. Do you remember Schwartz? They came into the funeral home yesterday, yeah. Which is good, because things started taking a turn. He started, yeah. Yeah, and the natural process is just sort of quicker with him. And that explains a lot of his discoloration. He has what's known as tissue gas, and you don't know it until about 5 days after they pass away. And it's something that the body just starts reclaiming itself very fast. And I'm glad they came in yesterday. Yeah.
So you keep the body
Yeah, and refrigeration.
and do you have like bodies that years that you think like you heard about in New York and
We were busy, but we didn't. No, we didn't. We didn't have the same issues they had down in the city, because a lot of the cities are so populated down there. The cemeteries down there, we were busy. A lot of the funerals were busy, but not like the city, where so many people were dying, and the cemeteries just couldn't dig the graves fast enough. So what's happening is the cemeteries like, they were having. I went down to this. I had to bring people down to Almont and aerials, and the hearses were lined up. You counted 15 to 20 hearses just lined up, and they were all Creekside, no families. You know, you could come, you know, you could just immediate family, and it was tough for a while. It was tough, especially down there. But I've had friends where they're like, "Can you come up here? Can you come down to the city and bring people up to cremate up where you guys are? I got 30 people in my chapel, and no light at the end of the tunnel."
Check, check. All good? Okay. Ooh, hot mic.
Yeah, we usually turn it up a little that way you don't have to like lean into it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are they hot?
Yeah, the microphone's on now.
Oh, we're live.
Yep.
Okay. Just so you know, whatever you say is broadcast right now. So.
We still got about 15 minutes.
case place a symbolic black ribbon on the mourners because a life has been torn from us. The reason we do this is because when Jacob was told by his other sons that Joseph was no longer alive, he tore his garment. And likewise, when David heard that Absalom had passed, he tore his garment. So the rabbis adopted this custom. We'll do it in English. I'll say in Hebrew first. What we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam dayan ha'emet. If I could say the words and you repeat them after me to all the immediate mourners. Blessed are you, our God. Our love and praise for God for giving us life from the beginning. In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven. A time for dancing, a time for wailing, a time for birthing, and a time for dying. A time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. The time of mourning is a complicated time filled with many emotions and memories, both bitter and sweet. We begin our service with the recitation of psalms and prayers, thus linking Gerald Shaye and his life with the 3,000-year-old tradition of the people Israel and the eternity of God. Psalm 23. Mizmor LeDavid Adonai ro'i lo echzar, bino desha yarbitzeni, al me menuchot yin haleni. Nafshi yishovav yinacheni b'magle tzedek l'man shemo. Gam ki elech begei tzalmavet lo ira ra, ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha, hema yin chamuni. Taroch lefanai shulchan neged sorarai. Dishanta b'shemen roshi kosi rivaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'beit Adonai la'orech yamim. A Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Today we mourn the passing of Yosef ben Zalman Vibasha, Jerry, son of Saul and Beatrice. Jerry is survived by his brothers Gary, his brother Stephen and sister-in-law Janet, and his brother Louis and his sister-in-law Libby, and brothers and sisters-in-law in Venezuela, Olindo and Baldemira Barrios, Mateo and Rosa Barrios, Horacio Barrios, Matias and Susana Barrios, Maria and Alfonso Vergara, and Ramon Barrios. Jerry's beloved children and grandchildren. Jerry was a devoted father to his children and their spouses, and loving grandfather to Gabriel's soul, who brought him great joy. In addition to his wife Adela, Jerry is survived by his son Daniel, his wife Jackie and grandson Gabriel, who I spoke before, his daughter Anna Rutledge, and her husband Caleb, his son Richard, and his wife Loretto. At this time, I would like to call upon Jerry's brother Gary to say a few words about his beloved brother.
First of all, thank you, Rabbi Malton, for being with us this morning and officiating the service. Thanks to all of our family who are able to be present today at Temple Israel Cemetery, where Jerry is being laid to rest, where he'll be with our parents, uncles and aunts, other family members and friends. To all of you who have joined via video and WhatsApp, Thanks for being with us to share our love and memories of Jerry. Y para todos ustedes que están por video en Venezuela y otras partes, muchas gracias para su participación. On behalf of Jerry's immediate family and my siblings and their children and spouses, I was asked to share what we'll remember most about Jerry. I'd like to begin by giving thanks how Jerry helped change my own life, which followed in his path. When he would write letters home from the Peace Corps, it inspired me to explore the Peace Corps too and go to Latin America. I would read his little blue aerograms from Venezuela, and I wanted to do the same and be like Jerry. His curiosity about the world was contagious, as was his love of meeting other people of all walks of life and speaking another language. What my brother Stevie most recalls about Jerry was his aptitude and ability for numbers and putting this skill to good use. One way he did this was when he was a teenager and established a garden with Larry Chait, one of our neighbors. They formed the JELA, J-E for Jerry, and L-A for Larry, JELA Lage partner, Jerry, and Lage for Larry Chait's name first, which sold fresh vegetables in the neighborhood. This garden continues to this day, is now in the hands of Jerry's niece, Andrea, and her husband, Derek, and their children, Amelia and Athena. After 60 years, this garden is still producing produce. Yesterday, Stevie told me a story that I had never heard before. When he and his wife, Janet, were visiting Jerry and Adele in Venezuela, they saw a 4-year-old Daniel going to school with a briefcase. When Stevie asked Danny what he was carrying, he said he wanted to be like his father, who carried a briefcase to his office. The only difference was that Danny's bag was full of building blocks, and knowing Jerry, his was likely filled with some of Adela's arepas. Stevie Lewis and my parents visited Jerry in Venezuela and could see that he had found his calling. He was the unofficial alcalde or mayor of Timotes in the Venezuelan Andes and a real godfather in the best sense of the word to his nieces and nephews and family, as well as members of the Andina Cooperative, which was where Jerry worked, first as a volunteer and then as cooperative manager. Jerry opened up all of our worlds. Lewis has early memories of Jerry when Jerry would take him tobogganing not far from the house or sometimes at the municipal golf course. That was exclusive time for special experiences with his older brother. When Lewis was 14, he had an opportunity to make a solo trip to spend the summer of 1969 in Venezuela with Jerry. Jerry opened up his world to Lewis. He was in Timotes, where Jerry took him to visit farms, pick vegetables, practice and learn some Spanish. He practiced writing Spanish in the dirt when he was with other children of Timotes, learning about a new culture to which Jerry introduced him. Jerry enjoyed watching Lewis develop cross-cultural relationship in a place Jerry loved and called home. Beginning in 1996 through 2019, my brothers and I took annual Brothers Weekends to different parts of the world. On our first 3 trips to the Thousand Islands, Mount Martha's Vineyard, and Killington, my father joined us. This was a special tradition we established and maintained. We loved these trips, especially the ones to Argentina, Chile, Alaska, Nova Scotia, New Mexico, and Colorado. Jerry always spoke with great pride in all of the accomplishments of his children. He was proud, he was so proud of his children, none of the others had a chance to speak about their children. Seriously, Jerry talked about Anna and her nursing accomplishments and regular new opportunities for greater responsibility. About Richard using his business and language skills and having a leadership position in an international company selling hops all over the world. and Dr. Dan, who cares for worms and other things that go beyond my ability to describe, and most all of our abilities to describe. Included in these discussions was the special place in Jerry's heart for his grandson, Gabriel, who brought him tremendous joy and happiness with his great personality. When Jerry met Adela in Venezuela, he also became part of her family, to whom he has always been deeply attached. Jerry and Adela have raised 3 special, very talented children, and we're blessed with 47 years together. Jerry was an inspiration to not only his brothers and children, but also to many students, individuals in the business community, his co-workers and colleagues from all over the world. He also made it a priority to help the younger generation better understand where there were many options and opportunities for their futures. He was not just a great speaker, but also a great listener, although he didn't always show the listening to his younger brothers, but he did listen. I also want to acknowledge the numerous thoughts and words that so many of you have shared with our family about Jerry's contributions to the capital region and the impact he had on so many lives. This has been heartwarming and reminds us of what a special person Jerry was. His love for the city of Albany and the Albany-Tula Alliance were always evident. This was not work for Jerry. This was his passion and a genuine labor of love. Whenever all 4 of us would be together, it would rarely be longer than 5 minutes before Tula was mentioned the first time. He will always hold a special place in the hearts of those that knew him. Now I'd like to read a quote that I find very comforting. I'm going to read it in English and Spanish. It was written by a theologian named Frederick Buechner. When you remember me, it means that you have carried something of who I am with you, that I have left some mark of who I am on who you are. It means that you can summon me back to your mind, even though countless years and miles may stand between us. It means that if we ever meet again, you will know me. It means that even after I die, you can still see my face, hear my voice, and speak to me in your heart. For as long as you remember me, I am never entirely lost. Cuando me recuerdas significa que has llevado algo de lo que yo soy contigo, que he dejado una marca de quien soy en lo que tú eres. Significa que puedes volver a llamarme a tu mente aunque haya incontables años y mías entre nosotros. Significa que si nos volvemos a encontrar, me conocerás. Significa que incluso después de que muera, aún puedes ver mi rostro, escuchar mi voz y hablarme en tu corazón. Mientras te acuerdas de mí, nunca estoy completamente perdido.
Jerry, born in Albany, New York on October 26, 1942, was the son of the late Beatrice Rabinowitz Shaye and the late Saul Shaye. In the Jewish text, The Ethics of the Fathers 4:1, Ben Zoma says, "Who is wise? One who learns from every person. Who is strong? One who overpowers his or her inclinations. Who is rich? One who is satisfied with his or her lot. Who is honorable? One who honors his or her fellows." This is one of my favorite quotes, which really captures the essence of who Jerry Shaye was, because it upends our society's definitions of these things. We tend to think strength, happiness, wisdom, and honor are reliant on external circumstances, how much wealth you have, how strong you are, how much you know. Jewish wisdom shows all 4 are internal. It's all up to the person themselves. Want to be rich? It's about your attitude, not about how much money you have. Want to be smart? You don't need Einstein's genes, just the ability to open your eyes and watch people around you. Want to be strong as a hero? It's in your heart. Just be strong enough to do the right thing. Throughout Jerry's journey, he was blessed to acquire a lot of knowledge, and one of the most important nuggets of wisdom most likely gained while in the Peace Corps in '66. He received the nugget of wisdom he received was to treat each person in the community with respect, as if they were a member of his own family. In turn, he became a respected educator, pillar, leader, and friend in the Albany community and in South America. Jerry was first and foremost an educator. He taught international business and international marketing in the MBA programs at Union Graduate College, the State University of Albany, the Sage Colleges, and at the Universidad del Salvador in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Jerry instilled an important mantra in all of his students, and even more important, in his kids. Get a good education, follow your dreams, and have a vision for how you can best serve the community. Jerry was not only a teacher, he was a mentor, and he thrived and was his happiest watching his own kids and his students accomplish their goals, be happy, and succeed. He had a passion for traveling to Argentina to visit his friends that he had made over the years. As a true foodie, like his brothers, it did not hurt that Argentina had some of the best restaurants filled with a plethora of great foods, like Argentina's famous empanadas and dulce de leche. Jerry can best be described as a catalyst. He made things happen. He did his best to be principled without being judgmental. The exemplary character trait that we will most take away from our time with Jerry is that he believed in people. He helped people believe in themselves, and he made everyone feel unique and special. At this time, we'll lower the casket. Al Mikomo Yavo Beshalom. May Jerry Shaye go unto God in peace. At this time, we take our turn covering the grave in a dignified manner. It is important not to pass the shovel from person to person, but once you're finished, you put the shovel back into the dirt, so each person is performing the duty themselves. Those who wish to go over and put dirt on the casket, please feel free to rise and do so at this time, and then afterwards we'll come back, sit down for the final concluding prayers. It is traditional for the first, when the first time you do the back of the shovel, the first time. Sorry about that. Hatzor tamim pa'alo, ki kol derchav mishpat. Elam emunah ve'ein avel, tzadik v'yashar hu. Hatzor tamim b'chol pa'al, mi yomar loma tifal. Hashlit b'mata u'b'ma'al, b'met u'mechaye, marid sha'ul v'ya'al. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai mevarach, V'Adonai rachum yikaper avon v'liashchit, v'hirbala hashiva po v'lo ya'ir kol chamato. The rock, his work is perfect, and all his ways are just. A faithful God, never false, true and upright is he. The rock is perfect in every way. Who can question him about his deeds? God rules below and on high, causing death and giving life to the dead, bringing down to the grave and raising up. Adonai has given, Adonai has taken. Praise be the name of Adonai. God, being merciful, grants atonement for sin and does not destroy. Time and again, God restrains wrath and refuses to let rage be all-consuming. Ve'ashov ha'afar al ha'aretz k'shehaya v'haruach tashuv el Elohim asher natna. Eternal God, creator of all life, you give the gift of your spirit and we are formed. You take it in return and we return to dust. We are grateful for the many blessings in Gerald Shaye's life. We now turn to you seeking comfort and light. Harachaman, compassionate one. Grant us solace and strength, reinforce our faith, for you are a rock and redeemer, and let us say, Amen. El malei rachamim shochem bamramim. Hamitzei menucha nechuna tachat kanfei hashchina. B'malot kedoshim utahorim, k'zohar harakia mazhirim. Et nishmat Yosef ben Zalman v'Basha, shehalach l'olamo began Eden tehei menuchato. Ana ba'al harachamim histirehu b'seter chanfeh ha'olamim. Utzror b'tzror ha'chayim et nishmato, Adonai hu nachlato v'yanuach b'shalom al mishgavo v'nomar. Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Gerald Shaye, who has gone to his eternal home. Merciful one, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. At this time, we ask the mourners to rise to say the mourners' Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, v'amad divrach yurutei v'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevorach le'olam ulmei maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei dekudusha, brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'ama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. Those words that we just said are the words praising God, which are said for the next 11 months for the death of a loved one. Please note that the majority of the Kaddish is actually not really mostly in Hebrew. It's actually mostly in the language of Aramaic. At this time, I'd ask you to please form 2 lines and create a pathway for the direct mourners to exit the grave. And while the mourners are passing through, I will recite in Hebrew and you can recite in English. You say, Hamakom yinachem etchem betoch sha'arav leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. May you be comfort amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. So if I could ask all the non-direct mourners to create 2 lines right here, would be terrific. And actually, I would say right through here, over here, so we can have them walk out together.
bit. Yeah. Fine, up down here and on either side. Thank you. Yeah. I can just walk through the center and then on the left or the right up here.
I'd ask the mourners to please rise and go through the line of support. They can go this. I would go this way. Can go here.
You're okay. You're
Okay. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'arav Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. May you be comforted amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'arav Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'arav Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'arav Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim. Hamakom Yenachem Etchem Betoch Sha'arav Leit Zion v'Yerushalayim.
Folks, thank you for your attendance here today. This does conclude the services here at the cemetery. You can make your way to